Okay, everybody, it's Wednesday, June 18th, 2025. Wow. I mean, the harmony of the order calculations at this point are way beyond coincidence and chance. I mean, if only a few of these measurements were revealing a harmony, I would think very little of it. But we're at the point where every single one, and I'm about to do Krishna and Krishna's birthplace, and it's just mind-blowing how the harmony of the order calculations work every single time. And of course, let me just bring this up here. Firstly, I've got so many lines coming out of the Great Pyramid now. I mean, it's hard to know where I am. But see this purple line right here, is going to go to the birthplace of Krishna. I haven't checked its angle yet. You can see it's in the same vicinity as the brown line is the birthplace of the Buddha. If I click on that one, you'll see it says, right here on the right, Buddha's birthplace, Lumbini. And we did that. And this is the green line is the place of the Buddha's enlightenment, which is Bodh Gaya, a place I've actually been. Now, this is the birthplace of Krishna right here, this little town. And Krishna it's really relevant right now because of what's going on in the Middle East. This is the birthplace of Krishna right here. Sri Krishna Janmastan, and I don't know how to pronounce that properly. There's a temple there marking the birthplace. And Krishna is a major, major avatar deity who actually, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, which I read years ago in the Bhagavad Gita. Here, let me just put up some imagery. It looks so much like the book of Revelation in the Christian Bible. It's like the whole thing is cyclic with the appearances of a messianic figure in the sky shining with light. And Krishna birth year, it says right here, of course, there's disagreements on this, that he was born about 3,228 years before the Common Era or Christ. And that puts us, let's see, let me just go to share screen here so we have this. Some scholars also suggest dates ranging from 3102 to 3067 before the Common Era, but that's over 5,000 years ago. So this is one of the probably the oldest documented supremely enlightened personage whoever lived upon the earth. And arguably, if you look at why his harmony is about to show up so perfect to the Great Pyramid, is today scholars if we take the date of the Great Pyramid of Giza, they date it at 2600 BC. So that's how old Krishna is. Of course, I don't agree with this date on the Great Pyramid. It is most likely just like Solomon's temple was rebuilt at least twice on that particular location. It is most likely, and Richard Hoagland has pointed this out to me, that these locations, temples are rebuilt on the same spot multiple times. So the original core masonry of the pyramid would have to be dated. And there is technology to actually do that now. It's just that Zahi Hawass won't let this radiation technology be used because he's afraid of the date being wrong. So again, if we put Krishna's birth year in here, he's older than the dated pyramid. So why would the harmony of the order to the pyramid, to the birth site of Krishna, be so utterly harmonic and remarkable? You're going to see he's perfectly tuned to Saturn and Mercury, and the other percentages. I'm going to go through this so people can really see how this is really done. And okay, so stop share here and go to my Google Maps. I mean my Google Earth, and giving us perspective. Also, I should point out, just for the record, hang on a second. Krishna appears in the sky like the sun, at the end of the battle. There we go. So let's go back to it. This is really important because this is what Christianity prophecies will happen at the end of a battle of Armageddon. And are we about to get into Armageddon? It's, of course, there have been many battles in the Middle East. We don't know if this battle we're entering is going to explode to that level. See, it says right here in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reveals his Vishvarupa cosmic form to Arjuna, which is described as having a radiance like thousands of suns. This occurs during a climactic moment in the battle occurs, etc., after Krishna shows his divine nature to Arjuna. While the text describes a vision of immense splendor, it doesn't explicitly state that Krishna appears like the sun, but he's likened in his brilliance. And what's actually happening, let me see if there's any images of this, online, of Krishna's supreme radiance in the heavens. And actually in the Gita, these are kind of nice images. I mean, I should probably make some of my own AI images of Krishna in the sky. Because again, when I was a very young teenager, about 13 years old, I was taken by my father to meet this yogi, this enlightened yogi saint, Baba Haridas. And I had never really heard of meditation yet in my life because, my brothers and I just left our mother in California, and we were sent to Canada to live with our real father. Let me see if we have any Krishna art. Krishna is celebrated. I mean, millions of Hindus worship Krishna as a supreme deity. Of course, Hindu views vary just like Christian views vary. Here's a scene like here from the battle, the great battle. And what takes place, the Battle of Kurukshetra let's see if I can find anything for the Battle of Kurukshetra. Krishna, Battle of there you go, Kurukshetra. See, these are scenes from the battle here with Arjuna. Arjuna is a disciple of Krishna, whom they call Lord Krishna, who is telling him he has to go to battle. And Krishna wants to be a pure yogi and doesn't believe in violence, of course. And he's trying to adhere to these noble ideas that we don't need war. But Krishna physically walked on the earth. And while he's physically on the earth, he's not ascended yet. At the end of this battle, where according to the Bhagavad Gita, intelligentsia from other planets are watching the battle from these craft, Vimanas, UFOs, they're watching the battle take place on the ground. And if you really look at what's happening in the Middle East and what is about to happen, is if at any point Israel, who contains as many as over 250 nuclear warheads, feels that they're done, that they're being inundated, they will launch those nuclear warheads. And Iran is, the fear is that Iran will get one nuclear warhead, and you have to have the ability to deliver it. There's a lot of ways to deliver it. I know a lot about nuclear weapons because I worked for a major nuclear physicist. In fact, I got to meet physicists who were involved in the Manhattan Project before they died and question them and have real close access to them. So what we see is a replay. It's a repeat of the Christian book of Revelation, where there's this battle of Armageddon, and Christ appears in the sky at a period of time after the battle, blazing like the sun and marking a new era and 1,000 years of peace on earth. This is exactly what happens in the Gita, which is disturbing because it's so it just looks like a great cycle where an avatar is when really the logos, the supreme being as we understand it, takes human form and then delivers humanity, or the local humanity, to a new level of understanding and consciousness and a new way within to illumination. So again, what we're about to see is so remarkable because the measurement in the system I've developed, the harmony of the order, or Krishna, is going to be perfect. So here we go. It's my kind of violet line here. So he's 14,838,615 feet. And I've got my worksheet here. So I'm going to go to that and I'm going to show you so you actually see this, what it looks like in this incredible moment in history where we are right now. There we go, Word document. Okay, so there we have them. Now I have to subtract 8 inches per mile. So I'm going to do that calculation. And 2,810.34 miles times 8 inches per mile divided by 12 inches per feet. So I have to subtract 1,873 feet from 14,800,000. Subtracting these feet makes very little difference, but I do it anyway. So I'm left with this number here. That's my first number divided by 1.618033987, repeating. And this is where it's doing this every time. And I just keep archiving the numbers. I know I'm in the harmony when I'm actually going to see Nibiru here. So Krishna, mathematically, his orbital period, I'm just going to keep entering these numbers into my chart. That's 3.5 million. See, when you see this 216 number, that's half of 432. There we go, 1.3 million. So when I see that number, I know that's going to be Nibiru, because if I take that number, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to divide that by 365, 0.256 days. See, 3,662. I mean, doesn't get any better than that. That's like 99, almost 99% accurate to one orbit of Nibiru, the planet of the gods. And this cycle of days is recorded in the bow, the legendary bow, the Gandharva bow, and the bow of of the great Hindu god Indra. I'm gonna have to find that because we've talked about that before here. And the fact that the cycle of Nibiru is recorded in the number of days in the legend of the very powerful these powerful bows. We'll go into those in a few minutes because they're very symbolic as extremely powerful weapons that look more like missiles and missile strikes than actual bow and arrows being stretched by the arms of a human being. So I clear this number out, put this number back in because that's where we left off, divided by. So I've got the orbit of Nibiru, and I keep putting my numbers in until I come to the solar system as we know it, which is all the inner solar system, because I know the orbits of Eris and Gong, and which are beyond Pluto. They're all in here. Yeah. That's the orbits of God, I have that piece of paper here somewhere with all the numbers of the planets. There we are. Pretty sure that's. Remember, these numbers we're looking at, people, are days of Earth time to calculate the orbits of the planets. So 1 foot equals 1 day is my scale. That's 74,000 days. That's just beyond the orbit of Neptune. And this number here comes up beyond the orbit of Neptune of the position of the Mother Mary's apparition in Zaitun. So that's even remarkable in itself. We're coming to that measurement. And then we're at 46,000, which is angels. That's the orbit of angels. Almost exactly. And then we're at 28,000. And 17,000. And there's Saturn. There's Saturn. This is Saturn. In fact, that is so incredibly accurate to Saturn. I'll show you the accuracy in a minute. That's like 98, 99% Saturn. So Krishna's birthplace is going to be in near perfect harmony to Saturn. There's Jupiter. Jupiter's exact is 433258, so this is 4154. So this is going to be better than 96, 97% of Jupiter. But Saturn is going to be a higher percentage of accuracy in the harmony of the order. And then 2.5 is a category of angels. And then this is a dwarf planet Ceres. That is another angels. See, this is planet 591. Two, that's a very high degree of accuracy. When I do the calculation on the accuracy of that, it's going to be extremely high, and it might be really close to the percentage of Saturn. This is Earth. So instead of 365,256, we're at 374.63. So that's still going to be really high percentage Earth. These percentages are really high. but what you're going to see in a minute. So that's Venus, which is normally 225. This was planet 139.51, the ascension planet. You can see how close these numbers are. And this is Mercury. It's almost exact. In fact, Mercury and Saturn are going to be the winners, of course. So Mercury. And then my last numbers I put in are the innermost rings of enlightenment. This is the cherubim, the seraphim. That's the seraphim. And planet Vulcan. And then, I mean, this is Krishna's birthplace. You can you can see this. This is one of Dante's innermost rings of God, which is really the God of the sun. You can see how close that number is to the frequency of the Earth, 7.83. And then there it is, the height of the Great Pyramid of Egypt divided by 100. Okay, so now we have all these numbers. So I'm going to now bring up my chart. So let me do a full share screen so we can see my chart. Go to dates. Okay, so let's do a full screen chart, my whole screen. Then go back to my Word document and then so screens. Okay, so here's my, it looks like it's only letting me share one thing at a time here. So here is it, can you see my whole screen? I don't know if you can see my space woman here with the staff or not. Go to my Zoom.
We can see it.
You can see my whole screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I click on this space woman, you can see her?
No, sorry. No. We just see the ascension planets.
Okay, you see the ascension planets. Okay, good. So you can just like as I go through these calculations, you can see we came to the number 88 for Mercury, but Mercury's exact is 87.969, which is almost 88. And Saturn is 107.5922. So when I go, you won't be able to see it all at the same time, but when I go to, I don't know, it's supposed to let me share my whole screen, but when I go back to the document, and I'm going to show the percentage values because this is really incredible. We've done this for we've done this for Jesus's birthplace. We've done this for the place of his baptism, his crucifixion. We've done this for Alexander the Great. We've done this for Mount Olympus. We've done this for the position of the Zaytun apparitions. We've done this for the position of the resurrection position of Christ in the Sea of Galilee. We've done this for the Mexican pyramid of the sun. We've done this for the apparitions of Juan Diego, which are very close to that. I've actually done this for some of the prophets. We did this for Mount Sinai. Um, every single time we don't get mush numbers. There's only one time I got mush numbers, numbers that don't mean anything, and that's for the current position of Mount Sinai. But the real Mount Sinai in Jordan, we got the harmony of the order of Mars, which is really incredible. So now with Krishna, we're getting a really high degree accuracy for all the planets, actually. He's really high. Of course, Uranus, Neptune is out and Mars are out. because they're in their own established harmony. And so when we go to look at these percentage values, which we're going to do right now, it's quite rare that we get so many positions accurate. So the first one I'm going to do is this one right here, which is Nibiru, Planet of the Gods. And I'm going to take this number here. I'm going to calculate its percentage in accuracy. So if I take 3,600 years times 365.256 days per year, you get this number here divided by copy and paste that number. I don't think you can see my calculator. Can you see my calculator in that?
No.
Okay, so we're at 98.28%. But you can see these numbers I'm entering right now for Nibiru.
Yeah, we can see the Word document.
Let me blow that up a little bit so we can see the numbers a little closer. Okay, so that's that number. So I started with the measurement of the Great Pyramid to the birthplace of Krishna, and my scale is consistently in feet. 1 foot equals 1 day of Earth time, divided by the golden ratio, repeating to generate all my numbers. And I got 98.28% Nibiru. As soon as I see that I'm that accurate on Nibiru, I know I'm going to see all my other planets. So I'm going to come to my first visible planet, which is here. This is Saturn right here. And I'll tell you the percentage of the harmony because Saturn, its exact number is 1075922 days. Of course, remember, these days are Earth time. Everything's in Earth time. So I type in 10,759.22 Earth days divided by my position. 98.91%. Whoa. 98 point, what's that one? 98.91. It's almost 99% of actual. So that's incredible. Now here's Jupiter 401, so I'll put in Jupiter. So we'll see this number. I know Jupiter by heart. Jupiter's 433,258 days. So I take this number divided by 433,258 Earth days, and my accuracy for Jupiter is 95.89. You see? So my harmony of the order shows so far Saturn is the highest harmony. We're going to see really high harmonies here for all of them. This position here, I have lots of time here to do this. So Ceres originally is 1679. So I'm going to go Ceres. It's amazing how Ceres comes into high harmony in some of these calculations. 1679. So Ceres is 94.51%. .15%. That's good. That's really high. 94.519, actually, sorry. 519%. And then this is planet 591 here. I'm just noting this. Planet 591, which is the number of days my wife, after she died, So I'll take 591 divided by 606 to get my percentage. 591 divided by 606.17. 97.4%. Really high accuracy. Now let's check Earth. So this is Earth. So we check 374.63 against 365.256, which is actual 365.256. 97.49. So Earth is 97.49% of actual. Within, because it's slightly over, which means it's slightly out there. No, we'll do Venus. This is Venus. So we take this number here. We're getting really close to the end. So for Venus is 97.17. You see, when I saw Nibiru up here at 98%, I knew what I was going to come into. Is this and my percentage of accuracy on I'll do them up here. I'll show you going to be 80% range for Uranus and Neptune. I'll do that last. So Venus is this is Venus is 97%. Planet 139.516 is going to be remember that's the ascension planet, Christ. So we go 139, right? 97.49%. Again, 97.49%. Remember, so far Saturn at nearly 99%. So this tells you, again, Saturn being Dante's seventh level of heaven. But now when we get to Mercury, now this is going to be an amazing calculation because this is Mercury here. Oh, I just deleted it. I don't know. I put it back in. I put it back in. So wait, what did I do that for? So go to my calculator. Now Mercury actual exact is 87,969. 87.969. It's 99.46%. So let's see what that is. Mercury's the winner. 99.46% beats Saturn. Of course, Mercury is the messenger, the god Hermes. The angel Gabriel is Mercury. I mean, this is incredible. So Krishna's highest harmony is Mercury, second is Saturn, third is Jupiter. No, not Jupiter. Jupiter's not third. Earth and Venus and the Ascension planet are all comparable in third position because they're all within 97.5%. Wow. This is Krishna. So Mercury is his highest position. And then when I go up to my orbits of okay, let me check my actual orbit of Uranus is 30. So Uranus, as people pronounce it, I pronounce it the Greek way, which is Uranos. And remember, Uranos is the name used in the Bible, the Christian Bible, in the original Greek for the word heaven, and Uranus is a Greek god. So by Greek definition, heaven is in the domain of the creator god. Uranus is the creator god. Uranus creates the Titans, the all-seeing eye, the Cyclops, which is really the all-seeing eye, and cohabits with Earth to create the humans. So let me just, I'm trying to find my position here for, here it is. So this number here on the calculator, I tell you, my percentage is not, remember, Uranus and Neptune have their own harmony. So I would ultimately have to check Krishna's distance divided by Fibonacci's 3-5 ratio, which is the Ark of the Covenant. But I'll have to do that another time. So I take that divided by actual is 3685. So my accuracy, oh, 92.8%. Okay, so let's go to my chart here. And this is Uranus. 92 point. So that's not out of harmony, 92.8%. When you're in the 90s, you're in high harmony. It's Neptune, which is going to be way out. So it's this number here. This is going to be Neptune. Neptune has its own, God, I don't even know how. Okay, so that's Neptune. Neptune actual 60189 days, Earth days. So 60189, 80%, 80.73. So that's out of harmony. 80.73%. And that's to be expected because Neptune, and of course Mars. We know that Mars is out. If I took Planet 591, which is 97.41%, but if I compared this to Mars here, this number here, on Mars is actual 68698. So let me just, I should record that because Mars and Uranus are in their own harmonies, and they are their own harmonies, and Mars and Neptune, sorry, are in their own harmonies. And there's a reason for that. I'm finally figuring it out. They are governed by very high positions. So if I take this number here, divided by 686, I know you can't see my calculator. Yeah, Mars is sitting at 88%. So there we have it. I'm going to save this. Really, really incredible. So when we come to that, I want to come back to Krishna. To reestablish the Krishna's birth date in over 3,000 years before the Common Era. See, an avatar or direct incarnation of the Godhead is cyclic. And when religions become myopic, focus just on these really tiny periods of time cycles, they can't see it. In fact, when I go back to some of the oldest documented prophetic beings in the Middle East, like Zarathustra and Hammurabi, and Hammurabi, the date of Hammurabi, and that's Hammurabi, the date. What is the date for the time period of Hammurabi? It's really, really old. And Hammurabi, of course, is given the stone tablets just like Moses of the code of the law of the land, which which leads to the birth of the legal system of rights and wrongs and crime and punishment and sin and error and correction of sin and error, so that human beings learn how to craft themselves into harmonic vessels. Ultimately, when a human being reaches harmony within, we experience supreme bliss consciousness. And according to the enlightened teachers and the records, these states of harmony and inner realization and extreme illumination culminate eventually. A human can attain the status of God. An ordinary human, if they do this frequency and tuning work on themselves, and as you go into these higher and higher illuminated states, which I've been going into now for regularly, daily for 9 years or more, they you enter the field of the actual, the real, and you experience what's really going on in God consciousness, which is all absolutely wonderful and incredible. There's no error going on. So why the wars and at the end of these great cycles? Because once you take in that proverbial knowledge of good and evil and the ego is formed, it's going to clash against others. And suffering from a myopic viewpoint that my religion is the only way to God, that's why these wars occur, because ideologies form, the ego gets enormous and it gets weaponized, and these weapons, which are described in the Bhagavad Gita, I have more time here. Let me just demonstrate some of the weapons in in the battle. Weapons used in the battle of Kur Kur Shastra. I mean, the great bows. Let's go to the bow of Gandharva, the Gandharva bow, divine bow of one of these bows. I mean, we could say bows and arrows were used in the battle of Kur, etc. But for those who really know the Gita, they know about these super bows that really look like missile launchers. They really do. Let me go to some of my imagery I have of these great bows that literally, it's just kind of fun to show these depictions I created in the AI. When you really start studying the great bows in the Bhagavad Gita and the great battle, you'll see they were literally so heavy and so enormous, it would take hundreds of men to lift one. Those are the descriptions. I mean, again, when you write literature based on ancient evidence, we can't go past our current imagination. So describing a missile launcher like a giant bow is more it's more difficult when you can't see it. It's just like describing when you can't believe in UFOs and flying saucers. I mean, what the Gita says, the Bhagavad Gita says, I'm going to see if I can find this quote of Bhagavad Gita battle of extra intelligences watched from above the earth. I mean, that's in the Gita. There it is. This is really important just to document this for the video here. See, in the Bhagavad Gita, the Battle of Kurukshetra is depicted as a cosmic drama with divine beings observing events from above. the Earth. While the literal battle takes place on Earth, the Gita frames it as a clash between Dharma, righteousness, and Adharma, unrighteousness, with Krishna guiding Arjuna to fulfill his duty. So when you read it, it actually describes it as they're in craft. And I would expect this in our current situation, that with all of the evidence and the testimony brought forward by the US military pilots in these great congressional hearings, that there's no question they're watching this war unfolding as it is right here, right now, above the Middle East. There's no question they're watching it. And will they? What's interesting in the Bhagavad Gita is they don't get involved. I think a lot of people want to believe that God or the gods and goddesses will take sides in the human drama play. That's doesn't happen in the Bhagavad Gita. The only thing that happens is righteousness wins on the earth, and Krishna, while he is walking on the earth, can project himself into the sky in a luminous form in the end and appears shining like thousands of suns. I mean, these are the descriptions. And that's exactly what the Christian Bible predicts that Christ will do. He will appear coming in the clouds, and every eye will see him after the great battle takes place. Again, I don't know if this battle will be resolved. If the human race ever grows up, we can end all these wars if we really understand the ego and we dissolve the ego. You know, one group of thought thinking somehow it's better than all the other groups of thought, and my God is better than your God. That whole thing has to end. And then the human race graduates, and there's no reason to do this. I mean, they're spending mega millions of dollars on all these missiles, and they don't really do that much to the people. The people hide in bunkers and they leave. The buildings get blown up. If you look at the actual death tolls, the real death tolls in war in the Americas, and that includes, Mexico, Central America, the use of smallpox as a biological weapon killed between 70 and 90% of all original Mexicans. And my wife, Crystal, was 30% Mayan, which is true Mexican. So my children are somewhere around 15%. So that's true. That's all that was left. Out of 30 million Mayans, I believe, only 1.5 survived smallpox. The use of smallpox as a weapon in North America wiped out of 100 million Native Americans, nearly wiped all of them, far over 90% were killed. So the use of biological weapons is far more devastating than missiles. Is not even mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. This is a war of bows and arrows and swords. And these missiles that we're firing, if you look at the death tolls, they percentage wise, I'm saying they kill very few people. They just do a lot of damage to buildings and infrastructure. So we will see if we're in this great cyclic event or if the human race grows up. Anyway, so now we've established the harmony of the order calculations that I've discovered in the last 2 years work perfect every time for all of these major enlightened beings, and that can't be a coincidence. Anyway, have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next week. We're continuing one more week on the frequencies we're on, and then we will shift.
Thank you very